Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 As we get older, we remember people and conversations, and sometimes just one sentence that person said to you when you were, making friends with them and getting to know them. And I had a friend in Denver, and I think he was someone who walked into the bookstore and we talked, about religion and philosophy. And one day we sat down, had a coffee, and he shared with me some of his life. And it was interesting. He had apparently married a nun when he was younger and they had children, and it was just a fascinating story about the guilt that he said he felt about that. And when we were talking about guilt, and he said, Margaret, guilt is not a feeling, it's a way of life. And it was just such a fascinating sentence that it stayed with me for a very long time. And so when I was thinking about this idea of doing a video about how to, deal with the guilt in the past, the regrets, the things that we, wish we hadn't done, or the things that we know had an impact that was, in our opinion, not good. But this person really influenced me because I was able to think about guilt in a different way. And so, the story is basically that, guilt isn't something you feel. It's not, well, it can be transitory, but it's not usually a transitory thing because it reflects a personality, a set of values and construct that these activities, these actions fall into. And it's kind of ingrained into our whole sense of who we are and into our self-worth. And that we look at all circumstances in our lives, we look at different challenges and so on through this lens of feeling guilty, that we shouldn't have done it, it was wrong, there was something that was, different about it that could have been avoided, that would have made a different outcome. So I think it's really valuable to think about guilt in that way. Now, I think the issue is that guilt, as it happens in relationship to one thing, is really reflective of a pattern. It's a way that we look at our lives. We look at, it's the kind of the glass half full, glass half empty perspective. But I think it's useful to not turn away from that, but to see it as a way of growing, of learning, and coming to grips with some of the things that have influenced us throughout our lives. To think about, we feel guilty about something. We're guilty that I did this, or that I thought that, or that I allowed that to happen. But to see it as something that was more related to our perspective on living in general and let it go. Help us to address the underlying causes of that feeling or that sensation or that experience of guilt. So, regrets. We all have them. I'm sure that all of you can list a few on your from your past and things that you did that you regret. But when you think about them and identify them with a lifestyle or with a perception of self-worth, is that really what it's got to do with? That you did this thing, or you thought this thing, or you initiated this thing that had an origin in who you were as a person. Maybe it was something to do with childhood trauma. That you had something that happened in your childhood where when you did a certain kind of thing, you always felt guilty. I mean, a lot of people do it about, just sharing and giving and even sex, that you have this guilt about it because it's something that started early in your life, that was something that you grew with, that you developed a sense of negative self-worth, that you felt that things that you were doing were just not associate with you in a positive way, and it reflected your feeling about yourself rather than the thing itself. So what can you do? And there are some things I think we can practice that will help us to move on from those guilty experiences that shaped us. And I don't mean to be sort of dramatic about this, but it really can take a long time. And there's a couple of things you can do that might just get you started on the journey. Self-compassion is one. Now, we have compassion for everybody else, right? When someone else tells us a story, we say to them, continue, that's good. I'm listening, I understand you. And you show compassion for them because whatever they're sharing with you is a little hard. It could be about a guilty feeling or about an experience that was in their minds negative, something that they regret. We hold them tight, we give them hugs, we say, oh, it's okay. You didn't understand that, or you didn't, it was part of your background. You had to break away from something. You gave them constructive help. You gave them a framework to solve the mystery of their guilt, and to see that it isn't just a feeling. It's not something superficial. It's not transitory, but it's really more reflective of you, who you are. And so we project our kindness and our self-compassion, our compassion onto others, but not to ourselves. So feel compassionate about what you went through. If you have a regret, something that you feel you shouldn't have done, or could have done differently, show some compassion to yourself. Everything we know this. I don't need to tell you this. Everything is an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to learn. You may say, okay, enough of the learning, enough of the growing. This is hurting. But, you know, in a way, it's part of the journey. It's part of the journey towards a deeper understanding of your complex being, who you are, you know. And it's not just something that you can deal with like a, you know, superficial reality, but go deeper, and maybe you'll find something really, really interesting there. So healthier, more positive life can come from seeing your feeling of guilt, as you call it, to your experience of your self-worth. I think it's really, really interesting. Do you agree with this? Is this making any sense? I know when I talked to this gentleman, you know, I really felt like he had a reason to feel kind of guilty. I mean, he took a woman who was a nun and you know, seduced her, I suppose, and she changed her life. That's something to feel. But it was really more to do with his feeling, as I unraveled, you know, our conversation about his feeling of worth and his role as a man. And you know, it was just an interesting conversation. But in order to really get ahead with this self-worth, you know, just sort of growth and breaking free, you've got to set realistic expectations. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, right? You're not going to suddenly feel, you know, all free of that. Well, it's never going to come back. There are limitations. There's boundaries that we've set around us to protect us, you know, to protect us from having to go deep into those memories and into those. So it's going to take a while to kind of say, okay, I can do this. I can move forward. I can celebrate the steps, you know, that I achieve as I move forward, letting things go. And not feel guilt about them anymore, not be guilty, not embody guilt. Even you always use the words, I feel guilty, but not, you know, see it as not a fleeting topic or something that's going to pass if you just put a Band-Aid on it, but it's actually something that can be a doorway to a deeper understanding of who you are. I think it's really powerful. Have you actually been through this in your life? I mean, I don't expect that you will share all the deepest, darkest series of details of your life, because that's not what we need here. We just need you to say, yeah, I did that. I understood now that was something I felt was more aligned to my who I was as a person, things that had influenced me, my way of looking at things, rather than just doing that thing that made me feel guilty. What do you think? I hope it's been a useful conversation. I know this poor person, I think about his sentence all the time, and I've actually mentioned it in other conversations. So maybe you've got someone like that shared something with you, or that you have something that you need to share with yourself. It doesn't have to be shared with everybody. Just tell yourself and then work it through. It's constructive. It can be personal growth, you know, on steroids. It can be a really good thing. So if you like this, please leave a comment and tell us a bit about your own experience of this. And also, you know, think about our other channels. We actually have articles on our website. We've got Facebook. We're on Twitter, X. We are, you know, we're on Instagram. I'm even on TikTok. And the reason I'm on TikTok is not because it's, you know, what it is. It's because I think the younger generation needs to see an older person, you know, just doing life their way and learning from us. So I talk about all kinds of things, and I think traveling is my way to express, you know, the sense that we're on the road, we're doing things, we're keeping busy. And so I got a lot of nice comments there. Just, I'd like to be like you when I grow up, and kind of pushing back a bit on those aging stereotypes. But this is the time of life when we start thinking about the past, about things that maybe we want to let go. So hopefully this has been an interesting conversation. And if you want some more support, think about checking out our Patreon group. You know, as we know, as you probably know, we don't charge anything here for 16Me content. I do these videos for no charge, and all the articles are, you know, free to read. But we do have a supporters group, which is called Patreon, and we meet Monday, Wednesday on a live show. And people that feel they can contribute $3 a month to 16Me can join in, and I mean, it's amazing what's happening. They're getting together. We're taking trips together. We're doing tours. And it's just bringing a big group of, you know, hundreds of thousands of people into a smaller little community where we can get to know each other. So if that's something of interest to you, please join our Patreon group. I would appreciate it, of course. And also, it's fun. It's just good friendships are being shaped. Okay, everybody, well, have a fabulous day wherever you are. Take care of yourselves. Think about that quote about guilt not being a feeling. It's a way of life, and try to change that way of life. Adapt to a new you. Okay? Lots and lots of love. Take good care of yourselves. See you soon.